The best way to predict the future is to create it. And that's a quote by Peter. Precious time is money, and this is the time for Money Talk on Atlantic Television Network. Good day, viewers. Welcome to a fresh episode of Atn Business on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. This is a network's medium of bringing the happenings in the economic sector of the society to our discerning viewers. This program is aimed at bringing to the doorstep of viewers the business, financial and economic activities from all strata of society. Its delivery is accentuated through the various stock exchanges across the world, news about government activities, private sector business activities, market opinions, analysis and correspondence reports. Headlines. Owando procures Ajib oil for $783 million. 6 power plants installed in federal universities. Equity market 65 billion naira. World's second largest diamond found in Botswana. By the end of the show, you can be rest assured of being informed accurately about financial activities around the world. I am your host, Wendy Aguma. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll read out the details. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now into market reports, local and international business news for today. Owando PLC has acquired a 100% stake in the Nigerian Ajib Oil Company from Italian energy firm Eni in a deal valued at $783 million. In a corporate notice filed on the Nigerian Exchange Limited on Thursday, Owando noted the acquisition aligned with its strategy to bolster its upstream operations in the country's oil and gas industry. According to the firm, the transaction significantly increases interest in key oil mining leases 60, 61, 62 and 63 from 20% to 40%, effectively doubling its stake in the Nepal Narco OOL joint venture. The newly acquired assets include 40 oil and gas fields, with 24 currently producing, as well as 1,480 kilometers of pipelines, 12 production stations, 3 gas processing plants, the Bras Railway Terminal, and the qualified power capacity of 960 megawatts. Owando stated that as a result of the acquisition, its total reserves had surged by 98% from 5 million barrels of oil equivalent to 1 million barrels of oil equivalent based on 2022 estimates. Speaking of the deal, the group chief executive of Owando, Wale Tinubu, described it as a culmination of a decade-long journey that began with the company's 2014 entry into the joint venture through the acquisition of ConocoPhillips Nigerian assets. He added that Owando's immediate focus would be on maximizing the potential of the acquired assets, increasing production, and maintaining a balance between operational efficiency and environmental stewardship. Last month, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission approved the sale of Nigerian Ajib Oil Company from Eni to Owando. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says neither President Bola Tinubu of Owando PLC has an interest in the acquisition of OVH by NNPC. NNPC, in a statement by its spokesperson Olufemi Sonoye, was reacting to a release signed by the media advisor to former Paul Ibe. In the statement, Atiku was quoted to have lamented the criminal hijack of the NNPC by corporate cabals around President Tinubu. He said the retention of Mr. Melekiari as the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC as compensation for the alleged acquisition of NNPC Retail Limited by OVH, in which he claimed Wale Tinubu holds a 49% stake. Atiku further alleged that the NNPC Retail Limited (OVH) acquisition deal was part of a grand scheme by the president to integrate his business interests into Nigeria's public enterprises at the federal level. Reacting, Sonoye said investment decisions by the NNPC management are strictly determined based on commercial viability and national. According to him, at the time the NNPC acquired OVH in 2022, Owando, in which Wale Tinubu has an equity interest, had fully divested his equity in OVH to the two other partners, Vitol. He exclaimed that contrary to the false alarm raised, neither Wale Tinubu nor has any interest in the OVH acquisition. Atiku as effectiveness in business leadership is best sheets and some lines rather than pedestrian considerations. Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Benga Komolafe, has allayed the fear of job loss among workers of international oil companies leaving Nigeria or divesting from onshore to offshore. Komolafe spoke at the ongoing Energy and Labour Summit 2024, organized by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria in Abuja. The NUPRC boss said the commission would and ensure the transfer of skills from the IOCs to the indigenous companies acquiring the asset formerly owned by the foreign investors. Speaking on the NUPRC's mandate, he stressed that the commission is creating an environment that promotes investments, fosters innovation, and ensures the responsible stewardship of Nigeria's natural resources. According to him, a comprehensive divestment framework has been implemented to guide the petroleum sector, focusing on technical capacity, financial strength, and legal considerations, among others. Komolafe, who was represented by the NUPRC Executive Commissioner for Development and Production, Mr. Enoronse Amadasu, acknowledged that the divestment of IOCs from Nigeria's upstream oil and gas sector is a subject that has sparked considerable debate within the industry. While addressing the state of the industry, the NUPRC chief discussed the implications of IOC's divestment from Nigeria's petroleum upstream sector, noting that over the past decade, there has been a marked shift in driven by global energy transition goals, financial prudence, and regulatory changes. These investments, he added, have raised critical questions about the future of the industry. He also highlighted the critical role of the sector in driving socio-economic development and the imperative for a forward-thinking approach that embraces innovation, collaboration, and adaptability in the face of fluctuation oil prices, geopolitics, and he maintained that the fluctuating oil prices, geopolitics, and the imperative for decarbonization are factors that require a strategic and proactive approach. He further stressed the importance of harnessing technology, diversifying energy resources, and cultivating partnerships that transcend borders and ideologies. ATL reports that IOCs, including Shell Petroleum Development Company, Nigerian Ajib Oil Company, Mobile Producer Nigeria Unlimited, and Equinor are set to divest their investments in 26 oil blocks in Nigeria to indigenous firms. Marketers are awaiting the price of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, being produced by Dangote Petroleum Refinery as the plant begins a production test run of PMS before it is released in September. A report said that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery is undergoing test runs for petrol production, with full operation expected to commence by mid-September. Citing a note by IIR Energy and Oil Industry Monitor, the publication said the date could be extended. The report, IIR said in a note to clients that it is possible there could be further extensions. The spokesperson of Dangote Refinery, Anthony Chejina, had yet to respond to inquiries when contacted by a correspondent on Thursday to speak on the matter. Meanwhile, members of the Major Energy Marketers Association of Nigeria and their counterparts in the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria said they were still awaiting the price of the product from the $20 billion plant. The federal government's committee, which was set up to ensure the implementation of crude oil, had reached an agreement with the Dangote Petroleum Refinery for the rollout of petrol in September this year. The report stated that the federal government also disclosed that the sale of crude oil to Dangote Refinery and other refinery will commence on October 1st, 2024. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, announced this during a meeting with the Implementation Committee in Abuja. Also, Revenue Service, Dr. Zach Adej, and the chairman of the technical subcommittee reported that the first PMS delivery from Dangote is expected next month under existing agreements. When contacted and asked whether the price of PMS from the refinery had been made known to marketers, the National Operators Controller of Atn, Mustafa Zama, said oil dealers were still waiting for the cost of a litre of petrol from the refinery. He, however, pointed out that oil marketers get petrol from Dangote Refinery if the cost is the actual market price, stressing that the pump price of PMS is currently lower than the actual market price. The IPMAN official reiterated the recent revelation of the Nigerian that the pump prices of petrol in Nigeria were far below the landing cost of the commodity. Miman recently stated that the landing cost of petrol was around 1,117 naira per litre. Federal government, through the Rural Electrification Agency, has installed power plants in 6 federal universities as part of efforts to provide reliable power to critical sectors. This was as the agency stated it had made significant strides in advancing Nigeria's electrification project. This is according to a recent briefing provided by the agency's managing director, Abba Abubakar Aliyu, to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun. The institution includes the University of Abuja, University of Maiduguri, Michael Okpara University of Agriculture in Umudike, Federal University Gashu in Yobe, the Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, and the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna. The meeting, which was contained in a statement from the Ministry of Finance, emphasized the transformative impact of RIA's initiative as communities across the country. During the briefing, Abba Abubakar Aliyu presented a comprehensive overview of the RIA's successful project, showcasing how electrification is changing the landscape of rural and underserved areas in Nigeria. According to the statement signed by the Director of Information and Public Relations, Muhammad Manga, at the ministry, Aliyu's presentation included photographic evidence of power plants established at several key institutions. These installations represent a significant leap in the agency's mission to provide reliable power to critical sectors of the society. In response to the RIA's presentation, Minister Wale Edun praised the agency for its remarkable achievements and underscored the crucial role of electrification in driving Nigeria's economic growth and development. He highlighted the importance of raising public awareness about the positive impacts of RIA's work, which he described as a cornerstone for empowering communities and stimulating economic progress. He emphasized that the continued success of these initiatives will lead to sustained economic development and a brighter future for the nation. Federal government's fiscal deficit rose month-on-month by 0.1% to 824.79 billion naira in April from 823.91 billion naira in March. The Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed in its April 2024 monthly economic report. A fiscal deficit is a shortfall in the government's revenue compared with its expenditure. The CBN report released on Thursday showed that the deficit was 7.92% higher than the budgeted 764.19 billion naira for the period. The bank also said consumer credit outstanding declined significantly by 53.83% to 3.8 trillion naira at the end of April 2024 from the level in the preceding month. According to CBN, the expansion in deficit was due to a 0.55% MOM decline in retained revenue to 419.91 billion naira in April from 422.23 billion naira in March. It said the decline in revenue was a result of lower receipts from exchange gains. According to the report, the fiscal operations of the federal government of Nigeria in April resulted in an expansion in the fiscal deficit. Provisional data showed that primary and overall deficit rose to 260.98 billion naira and 824.79 billion naira respectively, from 249.43 billion naira and 823.91 billion naira in the preceding month. The expanded deficit reflected a sharper decline in retained revenue. FGN retained revenue also dipped in the revenue review period due to lower receipts from exchange gains. Similarly, the Apex Bank noted that government expenditure for April declined MOM by 0.16% to 146 trillion naira from 1.244 trillion naira in March due to reduced capacity spending. The provisional data showed that aggregate expenditure of the FGN declined due to reduced capital spending at 1,244,771,000 naira. Provisional data indicated that expenditure was 0.12% below the level in the preceding month and 48.10% short of the projected spending of 2,398,012,000 naira. The decline was attributed largely to a reduction in capital outlay in the review period. Further analysis showed that reoccurrence and capital accounted for 84.5% and 63.30% respectively, while transfer payments constituted 9.2%. Meanwhile, customer credit outstanding reduced significantly by 53.83% to 3.8 trillion naira due to low loan appetite for customers fueled by the high interest rate. The decline was on account of the 60.79% fall in personal loans to 2.95 trillion naira. However, retail loans increased by 18.81% to 856.77 billion naira. According to CBN, the decomposition indicated that personal loans accounted for 77.48% of the total consumer credit, while retail loans accounted for the balance. Federal government says it saved 1.7 trillion naira from 2009 to 2022 by clogging loopholes in its procurement process. The acting director general of the Bureau of Public Procurement, Olusegun Omotola, revealed this in a presentation when the chief of staff to the president, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, embarked on a one-day fact-finding tour of some government agencies under the supervision of State House, Abuja. They include the Nigeria Agriculture and Land Development Agency, Bureau of Public Procurement, Bureau of Public Enterprises, Nigerian Atomic Energy Commission, and the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. Responding to the presentation, he commended the agency for saving the government some 1.7 trillion naira from 2009 to 2022 by blocking loopholes that would have been exploited during procurement. The State House Media and Publicity Department revealed this in a statement signed Thursday titled Chief of Staff to the President Towards Agency on the State House, says 2025 budget will be based on needs assessment. During the tour, Gbajabiamila said the 2025 budget for State House agencies will be based on a thorough needs assessment to ensure that funding allocated to agencies is based on actual requirements. Earlier, in separate interactions with agency head and staff, the Chief of Staff pledged that the Presidency would ensure better welfare and working conditions for staff within the agency under the supervision of the State House. He urged the staff members of these agencies to embrace innovation, excellence and professionalism while supporting their chief executives to succeed. Gbajabiamila also emphasized the importance of transparency in the procurement process, which is critical to upholding the administration's commitment to good governance and accountability. Addressing the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Gbajabiamila commended the agency for remitting 1 trillion naira proceeds to the federal government since 1999 and emphasized the need for improvement. BPE Director General Ayodeji Beleyi disclosed that the agency had received 93.4 billion naira from privatization projects in the first and second quarter of 2024. However, this fell short of the revised expected revenue of 259.7 billion naira. National Broadcasting Commission has announced a nationwide expansion of digital television coverage fueled by the 10 billion naira grant approved by President Bola Tinubu. NBC's Director General Charles Ebuebu announced this on Thursday during a joint press conference in Abuja alongside the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Dr. Aminu Maida. Ebuebu revealed that while digital terrestrial television services had already been launched in 8 states, this new phase would extend coverage to every corner of Nigeria using satellite technology. The 10 billion naira grant, described as crucial for kickstarting this process, marks the first phase of a broader initiative to transition the country to full digital broadcasting. The funding comes as part of a larger effort by the federal government to reinvigorate the digital switchover project, which has faced significant challenges since its inception in 2016. The switch from analog to digital broadcasting, initially rolled out in Jos Plateau State, has been hampered by various obstacles, but the recent financial backing aims to overcome these hurdles and accelerate the nationwide rollout. Among the top priorities are the development of a diverse array of television channels, leasing satellite capacity to achieve nationwide signal coverage, and implementing cutting-edge audience measurement tools. These efforts are aimed at delivering on the promise of the digital switchover by providing Nigerians with enhanced broadcasting services. The grant will also support public education campaigns, the establishment of state-of-the-art content production studios, and the distribution of digital set-top boxes to households across the country. Additionally, the development of a free TV mobile app and an upgraded national call center will further enhance access to digital content and customer service. He further stated that a new date will soon be announced for the nationwide rollout. In his remarks, Maida pledges full support to NBC in the nationwide rollout of digital television services. Maida highlighted a strategic partnership between the two commissions, with NBC leading the digital switchover project and the NCC ensuring the telecommunications sector is prepared to meet the demands of the new digital landscape. The NCC boss pointed out that the success of the digital transition, particularly in delivering high-quality content, is expected to drive a substantial increase in data usage across Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu's Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, has commended the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructures, technological advancement, and product innovations impacting various sectors of the economy. Gbajabiamila took a test drive of Naseni's electric vehicle pickup van as he toured the agency on August 22, 2024, and visited the Naseni Hatchbox, Innovation Hub, and solar irrigation pump. He was introduced to new products including home solar, prepaid meters, laptops, smartphones, and batteries. The Chief of Staff's visit was to understand the agency's mandate, activities, and challenges, and learn how they can align with the President's renewed hope agenda. It was carried out alongside the Deputy Chief of Staff, Senator Ibrahim Adeja, and the Permanent Secretary of the State House, Olufunsho Adebiyi. Gbajabiamila commended the Executive Vice Chairman, CEO of Naseni, Khalil Alilu, and remarked that he took the trip to come and hear firsthand and to witness what the agency was doing on site, how it was being done, and understand the challenges. Gbajabiamila stated that Halilu's headship of the agency for 11 months speaks volume about his commitment, dedication, and passion. He said Naseni was one agency of government that was key to President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda to put Nigeria on par with other nations in advancements in science and technology. The Chief of Staff added that Nigeria had what it takes from material resources to human resources and stated people who are sharp, smart, young men and women in this country exist who can deliver in terms of advancement of our technology. Earlier, the EVC of Naseni explained the various innovations, interventions, and partnerships the agency has embarked on in the last few months to advance technology transfer and align with the renewed hope agenda. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has expressed concern over the country's airport infrastructure, saying a successful aviation business is not possible without viable airports. He further emphasized that airport viability is a priority and a necessity for any ambitious aviation business. The minister said this on Wednesday at the 9th Airport Business Summit and Expo in Lagos with the theme, Airport Viability is Key to Successful Aviation Business Ambition. The Managing Director of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, Olubunmi Kuku, recently noted that only 3 airports out of the 22 airports in Nigeria managed by FAN were profitable. The FAN boss stressed that considering the indices of viability, it is probably Lagos Airport that is viable. To achieve viability, several critical factors must be addressed. At the event in Lagos, Keyamo said airport infrastructures were not only runways and terminals but include integrated transportation systems that connect airports to surrounding areas. Keyamo, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Emmanuel Meribole, said airports must be financially self-sufficient with diverse revenue streams that can weather fluctuations in passenger traffic and external shocks. He explained that to achieve financial sufficiency in the actors must maximize revenue from non-aeronautical sources such as retail, real estate and parking, as well as smart investments in infrastructure that yield long-term returns. We are open for advert placements, bookings and commercials, and you can connect with us and watch us on ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok Atlantic TV Network 1, X formerly Twitter Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website atlanticnetwork.tv. Nigerian equity market continued to decline on Thursday with a 65 billion naira loss. The all-share index and the market capitalization shed 0.12% to close at 95,718,000.5 points and 54.98 trillion naira respectively. The year-to-date return dropped to 28.74%, while month-to-date and week-to-date returns stood at minus 2.05% and minus 1.36% respectively. The day's trading session saw a total of 393,620,711 shares, with 5.85 billion naira exchanged in 8,243 deals, representing a 9% improvement in trading volume, a 19% decline in turnover, and a 6% drop in the number of deals. Also, 22 gained while 18 declined, with Sky Shelter Fund leading the gainers with a 10% increase, closing at 122.65 naira per share. It was followed by Academy Press, Owando, 10%, Owando 9.99%, and RT Briso 9.78%. On the losing side, Transcorp Hotels recorded the highest decline with a 10% drop to 90 naira, followed by Charms minus 7.72%, Etana minus 9.55%, and Ikeja Hotel minus 9.09%. Universal Insurance Company had the highest trading volume with 68.2 million shares, followed by Charms 33.8 million, Owando 29.8 million, and Transcorp Nigeria 28.1 million. According to reports, Nigerian stock market capitalization increased by 599 million naira, following the listing of new shares by International Breweries PLC. Analysts have said that the anticipation of a rate cut by the United States Federal Reserve in September has stirred interest in high-yield foreign currency bonds from Nigeria, Gabon, and Kenya. Minutes from the July meeting of the U.S. Fed released on Wednesday indicated that officials moved closer to an interest rate reduction. According to Bloomberg report on Thursday, analysts posited that some of those debt securities has been mispriced and have scoped to rally further. The Bloomberg Index of dollar-denominated foreign bonds revealed that over the past month, bonds from all three had underperformed their emerging and frontier market peers. Gabon's bonds lost 1.2%, Nigeria's dropped 0.5%, while Kenya's gained 1.1%, although it was behind the average 2.5% return of securities in the index. However, the report said that in the past week, those bonds had outperformed amid the risk rally fueled by signs the Fed would ease policy in September. Nigeria's rising oil output and growing foreign exchange reserves, the analyst said, were bolstering the economy and driving sentiment. Danish multinational banking and financial services corporation, Danske Bank, said Nigeria looks very attractive with higher FX reserves, raising oil production and continued reforms, despite the riot spreading from Kenya. Nigeria's oil output has risen to 1.75 billion barrels per day of crude and condensates in August, with NNPCL projecting that output would rise near 2 million barrels a day by the end of the year. Also, external reserves stood at $36.45 billion as of Wednesday, based on Central Bank of Nigeria data. Nigerian banks have contributed over 300 million naira of the Human Capital Retention Fund set up by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. This was disclosed by the President, Chairman of the Council of the Institute, Professor Pius Olarewaju, on Thursday during the press conference ahead of the 17th Annual Banking and Finance Conference. The fund was one of the recommendations of the last conference to address the trend of massive immigration of bank workers out of the country. Meanwhile, the chairman of the consultative committee for the conference, Oliver Alawuba, reviewed some of the topical issues that would be discussed at this year's event. On the subject of talent migration, popularly called JAPA, Olawuba, who is also the group managing director of United Bank for Africa, said, "In addition, we are going to have a dinner. That dinner will be an interaction for the youth. Of course, you had the CBN president talk about capacity, and we know what we have. And we know that we have been plagued by the issue of JAPA syndrome. So we would like to move from JAPA to JAPADA, and that dinner will be center stage in that direction." This year's conference themed accelerated economic growth and development, the state of play and the way forward. We'll see the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria deliver a goodwill message. The Chief Executive Officer of NGS Regulation Limited, Olufemi Shobanjo, has commended the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria for spearheading sustainability reporting standards across Africa. Speaking at the Regulatory Roundtable for Sustainability Reporting in Nigeria, held in Abuja recently, Shobanjo lauded FRCN's role in promoting corporate reporting, stating that those efforts had positioned Nigeria as a leader in corporate reporting on the continent. He highlighted the long-term benefits of adoption, including improved investor confidence, better corporate governance, and enhanced comparability of sustainability information across the markets. He noted that companies like Seplat Energy and MTN Nigeria had already integrated those standards into their reporting. He added that in collaboration with ISSB and FRCN, NGS Rego was working on assessing the readiness of listed companies and had set a phased roadmap for standard adoption starting in March 2024. Shobanjo emphasized that the roundtable aimed to provide stakeholders with a clear understanding of those new requirements. You're watching ATN Business and Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Welcome back to Atn Business and Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Second largest diamond ever found, a rough 2,492 carat stone, has been unearthed in Botswana at a mine owned by Canadian firm Lucara Diamond. It is the biggest find since the 3,106 carats Cullinan diamond found in South Africa in 1905 and cut into 9 separate stones, many of which are in the British Crown Jewels. The diamond was found at Korowe mine, about 500 kilometers, 300 miles north of Botswana's capital, Gaborone. Botswana's government said it was the largest diamond ever discovered in the southern African state. The previous biggest discovery in Botswana was a 1,758 carat stone found at the same mine in 2019. Botswana is one of the world's biggest producers of diamonds, accounting for about 20% of global production. The diamond was detected with the use of Lucara's Mega Diamond Recovery X-ray technology, said Mr. Lam. It has been used since 2017 to identify and preserve high-value diamonds so that they do not break during ore crushing processes. The firm did not give details of the stone's gem quality or its value. However, it estimated that the stone would be worth upwards for $40 million, that's 30.6 million pounds. The 1,758 carat stone found in 2019 was bought by French fashion brand Louis Vuitton for an undisclosed sum. A 1,109 carat diamond unearthed at the same mine in 2016 was bought for $53 million by London jeweler Lawrence Graf, chairman of Graf Diamonds, in 2017. Lucara has 100% ownership of the mine in Korowe. Botswana's government has proposed a law that will ask companies, once granted a license to mine, to sell a 24% stake to local firms if the government does not exercise its option of becoming a shareholder. Zambia's energy regulator refused the state's power utilities proposal to increase electricity tariffs by as much as 156% to cover the cost of emergency supplies, citing the negative impact it would have on inflation and jobs. The application from ZESCO Limited represented an impossible way of raising its required revenues. Energy Regulation Board Chairman James Banda said Friday, adding his organization would work with the utility to find an alternative to fund pricey power imports. The decision denies ZESCO an extra $442 million it would earn over 3 months from customers, including households, malls and factories. While it avoids the price pressures that the tariff increase would have brought, the rejection would amplify Zambia's electricity shortage. While consumers dodge bigger power bills, they face heightened supply shortages. The nation, which relies on hydropower for about 85% of generation, has gradually increased daily electricity costs to about 14 hours as the worst drought indicates hurt water level. The rolling blackouts were worsening to 17 hours from September as plunging water levels in hydropower dams choke production. At Kariba, the world's biggest artificial freshwater reservoir, ZESCO risks having to switch off its turbines next month if it depletes the amount of water it's allowed to use for the year. The nation's only coal power plant is due for a maintenance shutdown, exacerbating the deficit. Mining companies in Africa's second-largest copper producer are supplementing their power needs with costly imports. Operators are still trying to recover from years of policy inconsistency and frequent clashes with the previous government that resulted in the slump in output. While it is unclear how much impact this year's power crisis would hurt copper production, output was up 6.2% in the first 6 months of this year compared with the same period a year ago. Zambia has an installed generation capacity of 3,777 megawatts, with the deficit reaching 1,510 megawatts. European Commission announced plans Tuesday to impose an extra 9% tariff on Tesla's China-made electric cars, which much lower than what China firms face unless Beijing compromises in a trade war. Brussels last month slapped EVs imported from China with hefty provisional tariffs on top of current duties of 10% after an anti-subsidy probe found they were unfairly undermining European rivals. On Tuesday, the Commission released a draft plan making the tariffs definitive at slightly revised rates, subject to input from interested parties by the end of August and to approval by EU member states by the end of October at the latest. China's Commerce Ministry reiterated that it firmly opposes the tariffs while voicing hope that Brussels would work with Beijing in a rational and pragmatic manner to avoid escalation of trade frictions. The European Commission officials said the EU executive remained open to resolving the trade dispute without resorting to tariffs, but that it's very much up to China to come up with alternatives. Beijing has so far filed an appeal against the measures with the World Trade Organization, which Brussels has acknowledged while voicing confidence that the tariff was WTO compatible. The tariff raise faced by major Chinese manufacturers will be 17% for market leader BYD, tweaked down from 17.4% in the preliminary proposal, 19.3% for Geely down by 19.9%, and 36.3% for SAIC, down from 37.6%. Other producers in China that cooperated with Brussels probe will face a tariff of 21.3%, revised slightly upward from 20.8%, while those that did not would be subject to the maximum 36.3% duty. Musk Tesla, which manufactures Model 3 and Model Y cars in China, had asked Brussels for its own duty rate set at 9% after the Commission deemed that it received lower Chinese subsidies than domestic manufacturers. The bulk of the benefits taken into consideration involved batteries being supplied to Tesla for less than market value, as well as land use provided below market value and various Chinese grants for exporting producers. The European Commission also decided to grant European manufacturers involved in joint ventures that export EVs from China the rates applicable to their Chinese partner firm. European firms affected include Germany's Volkswagen and BMW, which have expressed fears that the EU tariffs could damage trade ties with China, where they have significant business interests. Concerning the provisional duties companies have faced since July 5th, provided in the form of bank guarantees, the Commission said it had determined it did not have legal grounds to collect the funds, which will be released once definitive measures take effect. China and the EU have butted heads in recent years over a range of issues relating to trade technology and national security. This is where we wrap it up on this edition of Atn Business on Atlantic Television Network in the city of Port Harcourt. I am Wendy Aguma. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. Stay connected on ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching and good afternoon.